viewers, today's the last day of 2016, and I'm on my way to walk around my local town square to see if there are places that'll be open for dinner when my partner gets back so that we can go out to eat tonight. Because I've tried to call and got no answer, got an automated machine, which I assume means that they're closed, but it says that you can't leave messages because their mailbox isn't set up. Like, it's not like when you call a restaurant and you should get a message that's like, our hours of operation are, and we will be closed on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, or anything like that you would normally get. And I checked all their social media, and they haven't posted anything in like a month. I don't know, I'm just gonna go up and see what's open. But it's New Year's Eve day. New Year's is something that along the lines, down the years, has actually become really important to me. I like celebrating it, I like observing it. Because, you know, it's not a holiday that's based on any specific religion. It's not a holiday that's based on the conquering of a nation and beginning of a new country based on oppression. It's just about a totally arbitrary measurement of time. And that's something that I can totally get behind. This video is my year in review. Gonna get some B-roll and make this video slightly more interesting. What do you say? Do you like my boots? January. In January, I finally started the new year my way. I asked people not to call me at midnight, and my partner and I just hung out, watched movies, drank champagne with berries in it, and that's what I plan on doing again this year. And it was a really good time. I've never gotten to do that before, and it was wonderful. It was the first time I felt like something was really transitioning, getting to be fully present in it my own way. My intention for 2016 was love, and I then later found out about year cards and tarot and numerology, and found out that my card for 2016 is the Lovers. And boy oh boy was that ever a pattern throughout the year. I will very likely be talking more about that kind of thing in the future. The first movie we watched was Seven Psychopaths. It was the first time I had ever seen it, but that's the first movie I watched in 2016. The world lost David Bowie and Alan Rickman that month. I marked the dates in my calendar. It was just ridiculous. And then we ended the year on like similar notes, but foreshadowing. In January 2016, I also made scarves for Homeless Stand Down with the Unitarian Universalist Church that I used to attend. I loved doing the scarves every single year. It's a project that I really felt good about and felt like I was putting a lot of intention into it and really doing something nice for people. That month I also went to my first priestess training workshop with some reclaiming witches that I had met, and that's where I started working with Athena and Medusa, who I have continued working with throughout the entire year. January is also when I finally joined Pottermore and took the sorting test and had a crisis of identity when I was sorted into Hufflepuff after being Gryffindor in every other quiz ever. I still don't really know who I am. February. In February, I went to an Imbolc ritual that I was invited to by a woman who attends the UU church that I used to go to. She invited me for an Imbolc ritual. It was really nice. It was with a group of her friends. They have a meetup group of older lesbian women. They invited me and another woman that I know from church. I saw Little Shop of Horrors live on stage for the first time ever with my friends Derek and Mike. In February, fear started coming in as kind of a tandem intention with love, and I started working with fear as the opposite of love, which I continued doing throughout the year. February is also when I took part in some music theology services at my UU church. I was invited to come up with a sermon about a song that was kind of an embarrassing song that in some way still communicated my views and my theology. It was supposed to be an embarrassing song, and I think that mine really was, and I had some very interesting experiences sharing it with two different congregations, one in my home congregation and one at another congregation in Cleveland. If you'd like to hear more about those in the future, let me know in the comments, and maybe I will tell you more. Alright, we're out of B-roll, so you're gonna see my face again. March. In March, I quit my day job. I quit working at the tea parlor where I worked for 2.5 years. There was just a lot going on, and I wanted to pursue some different things and try doing things on my own. I voted in the primaries. It was important enough. I put it in my calendar, so I thought I'd mention it. Also that month, I went to the Post Secret show in Cleveland with a girl that I met through the Ohio Nerdfighters Facebook group. I don't check it very often, but I happened to be on there one day when she said she had an extra ticket and she was kind of new in town, didn't know a lot of people, April. Nobody else was saying that they wanted to go, so I said, sure, I'll go. I'm free, and I kind of know the theater, I know the area, I know a place that we could go for dinner. So I went and hung out with her, and we went to the Post-Secret show. It was a really nice time. Yay, nerd fighters. April. I was stage managing Spamalot throughout February and March, and it went up in April. When I say went up, for you non-theater people, I mean that's when we performed it. That's when the show opened. So instead of telling you when I've started the rehearsal process for all the shows I worked on this year, like I have in previous year in review videos, I'm just gonna say the month that the show opened. So Spamalot opened in April. I also went to an Iron Pentacle workshop in April, again with Reclaiming Witches. That is a core class required for reclaiming teachers, and so that was my second core class toward working to becoming a teacher someday. And it was rough. I got to work with one of the same teachers that I had worked with in priestess training in January, so it was really nice to see them again. And it was rough because I kind of felt like I should have been doing more, going deeper, doing better, whatever that means. So I was kind of beating myself up over that, but at the same time, that's the work that I needed to be doing. It was a wonderful experience, all told. I joined Instagram in April. For those of you who still didn't get the memo that I have an Instagram now, I have an Instagram now. I also did not do Veta vlog every day in April for the first time in a couple years, because the previous years I'd been so busy stage managing shows that go up in April, as I did this time too, that I decided not to do it. And that was probably a good idea. May. I met my newest best friend, and it's so funny to think about the situations leading up to that circumstance, and if I hadn't done this, if I haven't made this connection, if I hadn't decided to go to this place, I would not have met this person, and they're extremely important to me and have become very close. So that is a very significant moment for me in 2016. 2016 wasn't all bad, guys. May is also when I posted my video entitled My Life's Work, when I decided to tell you all that I had quit my day job and was trying to do these things full time. That is a side saga that plays out elsewhere that I don't tell you much about. June. I was stage managing a summer show with the kids at my community theater. It was a children's version of Oliver Twist, which is a very strange show to do with children. It's about child abuse. But anyway, we did that, and during that, the director, who is a good friend of mine, I've known her for about a decade. She was the first person I met at this theater when I started doing things there when I was younger. She broke her hip during that process and could not come to rehearsals, so I had to take over as the director. So that was a huge deal, and she did recover, and she was going through physical therapy and everything, and was able to come to the show. So that was awesome. I was in a play for a local historical society related thing, fundraiser type thing, that my friend, who is on the board of this organization, wrote and put together out of historical documents and actual quotes and interviews and things like that, put together about slavery in the area and the actual historical events that had happened in that area and nearby. And we did it as a semi-staged reading, and I'm just really grateful that she asked me to be a part of that. It was a really cool thing. I just really enjoy when theater can be used for education and really delving into things like that. As you all know, Hamilton is a really big thing now that is doing a very similar thing with history. So, very cool. Thank you to my friend Sarah for letting me be a part of that. My mom was in town in June, as you know. Not that you got a lot of videos with her. Again, we just that didn't happen a lot. We just had the one. It was my cat's birthday in June as well. This is the first time in, I think, forever that I've had a cat that I actually know the day she was born, because I adopted her and she had been an owner surrender. So they had all this documentation and information about her. So that's nice. I filed a police report in June for the first time. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the future. Maybe I won't. But it was a big deal in my life. And I performed one of my dream roles. I got to play Viola in Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, or What You Will. My camera battery died right at the end of June, so it's the next day. It's New Year's Day. So I was saying, during June I got to perform one of my dream roles, Viola in Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. My mom and my grandma and my brother got to come see it, and it was a really great time. July. In July, I was again working at the Great Lakes Medieval Fair. I saw the Cleveland Shakespeare in the Park productions of King Richard II and The Tempest with Brittany. I had lunch with some of my friends from the UU church that I had met years ago, and they moved away, so I haven't seen them in a while. They came back to town, and since I was not going to church, we decided to go out for lunch instead, so I got to see them and their daughter, which was really nice. I hadn't seen them in a while. We had a couple more performances of Twelfth Night toward the end of July, and I started a new part-time job at that point as well that did not last very long. August. In August, I turned 26. There is a vlog from what I did to celebrate my birthday that did not occur on my birthday, but was the weekend following that. I also attended Cleveland area Pagan Pride in August as usual, was still working at the Great Lakes Medieval Fair, went to a friend's housewarming party. Evan and I made zucchini tots for the first time ever. There is a video from that. And I became obsessed with finding out the phase of the moon on important dates in people's lives, like birthdays, anniversaries, the day that you met someone, the day that something important happened. I just became obsessed. There was a booth at the medieval fair that does pendants or jewelry, earrings, any type of thing with a glow-in-the-dark moon phase from whatever your important date is, and I just became obsessed with looking it up and seeing the way that different things match. And there are a couple important people in my life with whom my birthday and their birthday and like the day we met or whatever kind of thing, you know, the first whatever, makes a triple moon symbol, and I just think that is so cool. So yeah, I was just looking up moon phases constantly. September. I was in a production that was a Titanic story, another take on the story of the Titanic. I played Madeline Astor. I went to the Ohio Renaissance Festival for their opening weekend, which was a great time. I met one of you there, or a couple of you, at least Lauren. I went to my community theater's Gala Awards. It was the first time that I was nominated for an award because I was the only female actor in the play that I did last year, which I mentioned in my year-in review from last year. I was the only female actor, so I automatically got nominated for Best Female Actor for that show. I was competing against the Best Female Actor for all of the other straight plays in the year. I think it was just plays, not musicals. I think they're separate categories. Yes, lead actor and lead actress, or lead female actor in a play versus in a musical, so I was up against the other female actors from the plays, and I won. And also in September, we had a witchy workshop nearby at one of my friends' houses with a pagan author, leader type person. And I invited a couple of my friends who are either pagan or interested in paganism who had never done anything in a group setting before. I brought a couple of them with me. So that was an interesting experience. October. I went to Oren again, this time with Evan. I went to Dayton area Pagan Pride, which was fantastic. I had a really great time. I met some really cool people. I vlogged from that as well. I hung out with Matthew, which used to be Witch Boy Columbus and is now a vegan witch on YouTube. Evan's book finally got published and we went out to eat to celebrate with various friends. I decided to count how many days I had been alive up until that point. I don't know why, I just wondered one day, so now I keep track. Really interesting thing, the last day of 2017 will be my 10,000th day of life. And at the end of October, I celebrated Samhain with my friends Coven. They invited me to go and do that. And one of my very best friends from childhood, who is also now Norse pagan, we both went. It's a traditional Wiccan circle, English traditional coven, so very different from what both of us do, but it's a community Sabbath, so it's one of those things that other people can attend and participate and celebrate and honor, so that was really cool. November. I voted in the weirdest election ever, and it was a really rough month. I'll just say that. That's pretty much it. It was at that point that I decided I really do need to look for a full-time job again because I am not able to support myself. And sometime in November also, I had a breakdown at rehearsal when I found out that the director wasn't going to be able to be there, so I was going to be responsible for running everything, and I just did not feel mentally or emotionally stable enough that day to do that. So I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then I got there and I was like, problem, can't do this. So that was a day. Those are the only memorable things I had written down from November. It was a rough month. December. I decided to do Vlogstis for the first time ever, which is Vlogmas, but until the winter solstice. So I made it my own. I uploaded every other day until the winter solstice instead of every day until Christmas. The Christmas show that I was stage managing, of course, opened and all the performances were in December. I vlogged through all of December pretty much at least every other day, so you can see a lot of those on my Vlogstis playlist. I also got my very first live Christmas tree, my very first Christmas tree of mine ever. Holiday tree. It also just happened to be a live one. And right around Christmas, right in a row, the world lost Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds. And I did not even realize, okay, because I'm one of those people who I know names, I know faces, I know things that people were in, but I can't always necessarily connect them all together unless it's someone that I know really well. So everybody was, obviously I know the name Debbie Reynolds. Obviously I know the name Carrie Fisher. All of the pictures that people were posting of Debbie were pictures from when she was younger, you know, singing in the rain, a lot of very early, very done up kinds of things. And because when I was younger, I was not really that concerned with knowing actor names or anything like that. I did not realize until someone specifically posted it on Twitter that Debbie Reynolds played Agatha Cromwell in Halloween Town. Grandma Aggie. So last night my partner and I watched Singin' in the Rain to celebrate the new year in honor of Debbie, and by extension, Carrie. And in between there, this year we lost so many wonderful people, so many influential people, so many artists, so many people who were themselves and so authentic and so inspirational to so many people. So we started with Bowie and Rickman and ended with Fisher and Reynolds and George Michael, and I know that there were others throughout. Some of them had more or less effect on me than others. I at least knew most of their names, and I'm sure there are a lot more, I know there are a lot more, that we never even heard about. I know I did a video at the time about Pulse and Christina Grimmie, and there was just a lot of loss in 2016. But for me, and for a lot of people also, and for the country, and for a lot of different causes, there was also a lot gained. Sometimes it was gained, and then we sort of took a step backward following that. Other things were quieter victories that never really got shared elsewhere, and I know that's the case for a lot of our lives. I had a lot of really great moments with a lot of really important people in my life. I met someone who is very important to my life. I did a lot of things that are very influential and important to my path work. I've made a lot of breakthroughs. I've had a lot of bad stuff. I've had a lot of pretty good stuff also. It does overall read to me as a pretty crappy year, but there are those really great moments that remind me that it was not all bad. So one of the things that I would like to do in the coming years always is just to remind myself to remember the positive things. The negative things can be so much louder and drown everything else out, but it's really important to remember those positive moments and the positive things that are shared and just the good memories. I didn't count all of the movies that I watched this year. I didn't count or even write down the names of all the books that I read this year, although I know there were a lot. But I do have a way of remembering which plays I saw this year. I saw 31 plays that I remember, either because I have tickets from them or I just wrote it down because I knew that I would not have tickets from all of them. Not every show I go see has a ticket involved. But as far as I wrote down in my planner and or had tickets from and therefore could put together and remember, oh hey, yeah, I saw these, I saw 31 plays. And they were Fool for Love at my college in January, a youth production at my community theater of The Three Musketeers, which was fantastic, Little Shop of Horrors, which I saw for the first time in Cleveland with Derek and Mike, which I already mentioned, Lie, Cheat, and Genuflect, which is an English comedy. I saw that in February. Post Secret, the show, which isn't really a play-ish, but it's a show. It's a performance. Up the Down Staircase at my friend's high school. She was in it, so I went to see it. I did not realize how sad that play is. If you're unfamiliar with it, spoilers, there's some emotional stuff. The Horatio Project presents Hamlet the miniseries. That was, my college did a project of splitting Hamlet into 3 different smaller episodes each act was a different episode and they had a different cast for each one. A lot of them were the same people that just rotated, so like someone might play Hamlet in the first one and then the next one they played a gravedigger and the next one they weren't in or something like that. People rotated, they did different things, and then at the end we could go for a binge night and see the entire show all the way through, which is what I did, and it was fantastic. And that was in April, but I feel like I remember there still being snow on the ground. I remember it being really snowy and hard to get out there. I saw a one-act festival nearby in which they performed 11 shows. 11 original shows. One acts, so, you know, they go a little faster. I'm not going to read all of them to you, because really I don't have the list in front of me. The list is in the program, which is in the other room. On the ticket, I just wrote down 11 shows so that I would remember to count it as 11. The middle schoolers in my town did a production of Bullies Anonymous, which they were then performing at their local schools, which was really cute. Some of the kids that I've worked with on other shows were in it. They did really well. It's a musical. It had some songs in it. Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, of course, which I was in. So these are shows that I saw or witnessed and being in. Oliver Twist, which I stage managed and co-directed over the summer. As You Like It, which was the other show that my theater was doing when I was doing Twelfth Night. So when we toured it, most places got to see both on different nights. King Richard II and the Tempest, which I already mentioned. My Friend's Play that I already mentioned that I was in. I saw School of Rock in August, which is a really cute show. I saw a youth production of it. I saw The Complete Works of Shakespeare Abridged, which was directed by the same director who I've worked with in the past, who did Spamalot and who did Twelfth Night that I was in. He also directed The Complete Works of Shakespeare Abridged at another local theater, so I got to go see that, and it was the first thing I was seeing at that theater as well. Then we had The Last Lifeboat in September, Sweeney Todd in October. My community theater did it. It's not the best production I've ever seen, I will say. The youth at my community theater, the teens rather, also did a show called Complete and Total, which was written by a local playwright, and it is about the heroin epidemic, and they were touring it around to some other places to help educate about that problem, and the show was really cool. One of my kids, who I've worked with a lot, had a really big part in it, and he's starting to get bigger and bigger parts now, and I am super proud. He did so well. I really enjoyed that. And then, of course, the Christmas show, and that was the last show that I saw or was involved in 2016. So my year card for 2017 is the Chariot. There's a little bit of balance inherent in the card, a lot of forward motion, a lot of direction and focus and drive. And I'm excited to see how that comes into play, since The Lovers in 2016 was quite literal in a lot of ways, and there was definitely a lot about love. So that's my year in review of 2016, but before I go, I want to let you know that I finally decided to do something I've been thinking of doing for a long time. I made a viewer survey. For those of you in my viewing audience on YouTube, the links are in the description. I had to make it in 2 parts because I could only do 10 questions each. So one is about basic demographics of my audience, so I can learn a little bit more about who is watching my videos, because YouTube's analytics don't do the best job, for example, as far as gender goes. They only recognize whether you've put down male or female. And they don't tell me lots of other things that I'd like to know. Part 2 is more about you as a viewing member of my audience. How long you've been watching, why you started watching, why you stick around, what kind of content you like now, things like that. So please, 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 please fill out both parts. Some people have already been filling them out because I posted them on my Facebook and Twitter earlier, a couple days ago. And the last time I checked, part 1 had 87 responses and part 2 had about 59 responses, so I know that not everybody was doing both of them. So they're really quick. Please try to do both. I love surveys, I love data, I love stuff like that, so there will very likely be more in the future, maybe one specifically for my pagan viewers, one specifically for the LGBTQ plus stuff. But I'm already learning some really interesting things just so far about the number that I have collected, and I know there are thousands and thousands more of you, so it would really be awesome if you would fill that out. There's no time limit on it, so anytime you see this, you can go and fill it out and it'll be added to my data. And I'll be making some videos in the future throughout 2017 about any kind of insights that I get from it. If I notice there's anything that the answers are telling me that maybe I should talk more about, I will be using that to bring some new content. So I'm really excited about that. And other than that, I will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye. Excuse me, did you guys see that when I walked over it before and was vlogging it? There's just a fish on the sidewalk. Ew.